it's Kelly, and I'm back with another process video, and today I'm going to scrap this gorgeous photo of my stepson and his wife and my 3 grandkids. I did not take this photo. This is a professional photograph, and I was originally going to use my Simple Stories Hello Fall collection, which is a couple years old, 2016, so it's a 2-year-old fall collection. So I started to work with this and decided I didn't love it with this. I love this collection, but I don't love the way this works with these photos. So I figured I was going to bring in my Cheeky Studio Autumn Beauty ephemera, which is from the November kit, but you can also buy this separately on the website. I'll try to remember to link this, but I figured I would use that with this because if you can see, the girls are in a burgundy color, but it's more red than, you know, this is really orange. There's some reds in this ephemera here. And the guys, the little boys here, and my stepson all have actually some red. The boys' red is pretty prominent. I've been playing with this ephemera all afternoon, did my 3 November layouts in less than an hour and a half because it's so good. And I'm thinking about seeing if I'll probably order more of this and see if I can get some more of the paper. But anyway, so as I'm looking at this, I am not at all loving the way this is working. So I do have some Elle Studio fall stuff. So I found this sheet of paper, which is from the Thankful collection, which is from 2015. But I bought this a couple of times after 2015 even. So I thought about, okay, now I like that, and that seems to work. And I thought about, you know, that works pretty well with this ephemera. You can see it's kind of whimsical, that kind of thing. And by the way, I'm going to take you through my whole thought process here. But I felt like the words were running off the layout. And you know, I like to border layouts anyway, especially when something like this is going on. So I happened to see this because I still had all that Simple Stories paper out on my desk. And here's a really great wood grain that works really well with this. There's some trees in the background. So now I have a really great start. So now I need to figure out what am I going to do to, I need a border around that photo. So I grabbed back again, I went to my Simple Stories Hello Fall, and this has a great leaf on it. I have used this leaf in my scrapbooks though, so I don't feel bad about this. And I like that, but I don't love it because I think the photo is not popping off because there's a lot of green or muted brownie colors in here, and I think it's not popping. So that's an option. So then I started thinking, okay, I do have Ready Burgundy in the ephemera. I need a burgundy color. That, guys, doesn't really exist very easily in scrapbooking products. So I put my little thinking cap on and remembered that Paige Evans' Pick Me Up had that in it. And that collection, I believe, was last fall's. So I'm going to now take you through the journey of what I came up with. So I went through the papers, and I do have some of these left. And I like this, most definitely. I wouldn't, if I'm going to mat this on this, I would mat it more towards the bottom here because then the colors are there. And that is nice. And I like the way that looks with this. I also can now pull that green in if I want to, because that's going to pick up on the green in here, and it's a little disturbing to look at this border here, but that works back to this. The blue in here works back to the blue in here, and it talks a lot about togetherness and family. The name of the paper is actually Family, so I'm liking that. The other thing I found when I was going through that, and I'm going to just put this green away here, is this piece. And I do like this piece quite a bit because look at that. It brings in brown, it brings in blues, and it brings in the burgundy from that. So that I could use as some sort of strip, some sort of border, something on the page. And I really like the way that looks. However, of course, I kept going through the paper because you do that, right? So I'm going to put that back on there again, and look at what I found here as I was going through. I found this sheet, and I'm going to turn this all, otherwise it's going to be hard to see this. Look at how that looks. So now I have the burgundy. I have some pinks, some corals, and some oranges in here as well. And I like that very much as well with this as well. And then I could, if I wanted to, bring in that green. So I'm kind of torn because I do love this paper with this. But the thing I think I'm missing with this is a piece to pull all the colors together, which is this. But I don't think I'm going to use this and this together because it's two different stripes. And then I can also, you know, I could add this as some sort of border, but I think that's too much. So I wasn't really sure what I was going to do when I first started videoing this with, you know, so that you could see my thought process, because so often you don't see me picking papers. But as much as I love this piece of paper, if that's all I was going to do, I might decide to do that. But I want more than just this. The other thing about this paper is I think this looks very distressed compared to these two. So as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking that what I'm probably going to do is go back to this in some sort of arrangement, because I really love how this brings in the colors, a lot of the colors, and it's not too distressed and not too whimsical. And what I could do is put a very small border of that on, or a larger border of this, a small border of this, and then work back into that. I think to do that is it's too much, it's too distracting. I think I need just a little. And what I might do is cut a very small chunk of this and put like a strip up or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But you can see now, as I've got this kind of all together, and I'm going to do this because this is going to be a tiny bit. Look at how beautifully these die cuts are now going to work, and the colors are going to work. This color is in here. That light green color that I have is in there. So I could do a lot with this now that I found this piece of paper. So sometimes, guys, it's about going and looking at it and going, for some reason something is clashing here, which is what I found, or I didn't have something there where, and I was looking and thinking, oh, it's going to be red, and there's more than red in here, there's burgundy. But it's also about sometimes finding something to pull everything together, which is what stripes are really good for. So stripes, multicolored diagonals, and multicolored dots are really good for that. So there's just a little bit of philosophy behind what I'm, about why I pick some of the things that I pick that you guys don't always see. So hopefully that helps. This is a little bit longer video, but I think the one before this might be a little bit shorter. There's a short one coming up in here somewhere. So this will be a little bit longer, but I think sometimes that's really helpful about why I make pattern choices. So anyway, so I'm going to, actually, the other thing I should tell you too is I am thinking about bringing in some of these brads from the Simple Stories collection, because I think they would work out really well as an accent. I've got some old Freckled Fawn gold leaves from a pack, and then I have some of these darling little Cheeky Studio cork pieces. They're hearts and flowers that I could use as well. So we will see what ends up happening. I'm not sure. Sometimes these are an adventure for me too. So anyway, guys, I'm going to put you on fast forward. All right, so let's put the layout together. I'm going to take that wood grain paper that I talked about. That is from Simple Stories Hello Fall. It's the Piles of Smiles paper. And I'm going to use that as my background paper for this layout. And I'm not going to cut it just because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this yet for sure. Then I decide I definitely wanted to frame that blue wood word paper, which I think I had mentioned, and that is El Studio Thankful. It's the family paper. Has lots of family sayings on it, so it's perfect for this photograph. And now I'm going to use that pink ombre paper that I talked about. That is from Pink Paisley Pick Me Up. Pink Paisley is no longer using names, so that is the number 23 paper from Pick Me Up. So as I said I was going to do, I'm cutting this in a vertical strip, and then I'm going to mount my photo more towards the bottom, and that's because everybody has more of a burgundy cranberry color. It's not necessarily pink or red, so that way it'll really play up that. And I'm going to put a fairly wide border on this. And then I'm trying to figure out how am I going to use that stripe paper. I love how that pulls all the colors of the layout in. That is the Pink Paisley Pick Me Up collection. It's paper number 20. So I decide I'm going to use the strip, and I could have used this up and down across the border. I decide to keep it just within the square of that family paper. And now here is how, there's the leaf. Here is how I decide to use that green paper to combine it all, and I really love how this is going to work. So I cut a strip of the green paper, which is Simple Stories Hello Fall Celebrate Fall. And I realized that I'm going to need to tuck the green paper in, so I was just taking the adhesive off. I got it too close. So I'm going to just tuck it in behind the stripe paper to act kind of as another, I'm not matte, it's another layer. And I love how that looks. I think it really does, it's lighter, so it does a really nice job of lightening up this, up until this point, this very dark layout. So then I'm going to ink everything with my Tim Holtz Vintage Photo ink. And then, of course, because I started inking that, now I need to come back and ink the things that I've put on the layout and have not inked yet. And that just, I know a lot of people talk about this, but it really just helps things sort of blend together. I'm using 3 different manufacturers for the papers here, so it helps them all look like they belong together. All right, so now that's where I kind of want things to lay, but I'm going to let that sit. I'm not going to glue down, I have to think of the word, the green paper or the photo mat until I get an idea of what these clusters are going to be like. And I'm using my Cheeky Studio Autumn Beauty ephemera. So you can get that at cheekystudio.com, and I talk about this in my Cheeky Studio videos, but if you use the code Kelly10, you can get 10% off your order. So I'm kind of looking at colors that might appear in the papers or in the layouts. I do like that green because that does appear in one of the papers now. So I'm going to end up switching that for the top. And then, you know, the pink is in the stripe, and the blue is obviously in a couple of the papers. So I love the way that all turned out. And then, you know, I have to play a little bit with how that flower is going to sit. And I'm really gluing these down before I have everything glued down at the top, which is not always the smartest thing. So here's my roll of foam tape, and I'm just going to mount that behind the green flower because that will be the topmost flower. And I want to make sure that there's some dimension in here. There's a lot of flat on here right now, and I'll keep working on that. All right, so liking how that looks. Then again, I'm going to save the very top flower and add some dimension behind it. In this particular case, it's the burgundy kind of rusty color one. All right. So now I am going to some chipboard because I want some dimension here. And I'm thinking about using this house just because it kind of signifies family to me. These photos weren't taken at their house though, and it was pretty narrow. I think if it had been wider, I would have used it, but it was so narrow, it blended in a little bit too much. So now I'm going to go to my Chamel Go Now Go chipboard stickers, and this was a fall themed line from a couple of years ago, so I'm looking at adding pieces in here. So I've popped in the gold leaf. Right now it's the 2 gold leaves and the green leaf, and I'm just going to take that green leaf and put it up on the top. So again, adding a little bit more dimension. I'm trying to get, I wanted 2 leaves at the top, but I didn't have any more leaves left, so I thought I'd kind of use this tree. That ends up not working. But I do find that acorn, so I'm going to add that in, which I'm so excited about. Okay, so thinking about leaves, speaking of leaves, I want to put some leaves up here because I have leaves in the bottom cluster. And so I'll use the the Cheeky Studio die cuts there. So thinking about the brown, the shape of the leaf didn't feel right for me with the shape of the leaves at the top. It was a little bit too narrowed. And then I like the orange leaf, but not against the orange leaf up there. So I settle on this beigey colored leaf. Oh my goodness. It's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I have not been drinking, I promise, but I'm having a hard time talking. And then I like the gold cluster, so I'm going to put that in the top. It's sitting right on a gold stripe, and it brings in some of the gold from the bottom too. So loving how that all came out, and I used some of that lovely Go Now Go collection, which is fall and travel themed both. And I had really mostly the fall pieces left. Okay, so now I'm thinking about other things here, and what I'm doing is I'm grabbing brads from Simple Stories Hello Fall, and I'm going to add those in. So I found that one brad, and they're self-adhesive, so they don't have the legs on them. So I found that one that says I Love Fall and put it in the bottom cluster, and now I'm just auditioning a couple to see if I like them for the top cluster. And I kind of like that one right there, but decide not as much. And then I find this one that says Give Thanks, which is great because I'm not going to put a title on this, but I'm calling it Family is Everything because I wrote that at the bottom of the photo. So I love how that all worked. Oh, I forgot I did switch that out. So anyway, what I'm doing there too is they are adhesive, but I put glue dots on the back just because they're heavier. All right, and now I am going to my Chamel Go Now Go Puffy Hearts, and I'm just adding a heart into each cluster that is kind of significant. I'm bringing some green down into the bottom and adding some more like orangey rusty gold. That particular heart says family, so I thought that was really appropriate and should go on here somewhere. So yay, I heard Chamel has hearts in her new collection, which is exciting. I'll be ordering those even if I order nothing else. Now I am going back to my Cheeky Studio November 2018 kit for cork hearts, and then I really am done. So there'll be a still shot and a couple of detail shots. Hope you're all well, and I'll be back with another layout again soon. Bye.